And just like that, the rain swoops in today. I don't see any of the promising bright spots, so I guess we'll see. And what's going on today? Because it was kind of interesting reading this one. It dealt with that Convoy protest in Ottawa, where apparently they were saying there were tons of drones flying around the area. Like, what is going on? It's kind of interesting actually to think about, because this one here says, dozens of mystery drone flights detected during police action against Convoy protesters. Dozens of drone flights were detected over the 4 days that police took action against protesters in downtown Ottawa, raising concerns that demonstrators were using the aerial vehicles to monitor law enforcement movements. As police moved in on protesters, 27 drones carried out 59 separate flights, according to the data collected by the Ottawa International Airport Authority's Drone Detection Pilot Project. Some were flown by news media outlets, while others were likely hobbyists curious about actions in the downtown core. I would think that should be a common sense thing nowadays, where a lot more people are just using drones as a regular camera to see what's going on and to document the situation. But it says here, but Michael Baudet, Ottawa International Airport's Vice President for Security, Emergency Management, and Customer Transportation, said the large number of mystery drone flights raised questions about whether protesters were using the devices to monitor police movements. Some were probably used by those I call looky-loos, people just interested in what was happening, Baudet said, but others could be using them for their own situational awareness of where police were forming up or moving. So it's kind of the funny thing to think about, because I know a lot of people are worried about police officers using drones to monitor them, whereas in this case it's like the other way around and they're so concerned about it. It says drones operated by police forces were not included in the numbers collected over the 4-day period in mid-February. Baudet said the spike in drone activity near Parliament Hill was significant. We saw more drones in that 4-day period than we would see in a 30-day period in our busiest month in the summer, he noted. We shared that information with the police. I think there's an obvious reason why there was more than normal. I mean, that wasn't exactly a normal event, like what, invoking emergency powers and so forth, which the Senate shut down, having so much people protest against mandates and all that in that one area. That wasn't exactly a normal day, huh? And as I read this, I was like, not this again. Do people lose credibility after they keep mentioning this? They talk about basically installing equipment. It says it was installed about 2 years ago as the airport began dealing with the issue of monitoring drones flying in its vicinity. The concern was sparked by a 2018 incident at Gatwick Airport in the United Kingdom. Drone sightings near the runway caused the cancellation of hundreds of flights. Can you still prove that or not, or no? Because again, so far it turned out to be nothing, and it seemed like it's more leaning towards there was no quote drone. Just with all the evidence so far, anyone who uses Gatwick, it just seems like you're relying on people's ignorance. It's basically kind of like, again, one of those trigger keywords. Gatwick Airport, ban drones, makes sense, that type of direction in my opinion. Which makes you think too, because in this situation, as I mentioned, it's kind of odd where they're saying, oh, it's concerning because they might be using like a drone to monitor the police and all that. But what if, like in this case, for example, that thought of making excuses, can you imagine where in the future they say, oh, I'm gonna ban all drones because of quote safety, but in reality they just don't want other people, I guess, documenting the situation, because that's actually one thing that was really alarming during this time, like these convoy protests and all that. If you guys remember in the official Ottawa police feeds, they were saying like, hey, nothing's like going on, this and that, whereas people live streaming the whole event, they're like, whoa, what are you guys doing? Or that one little report where they're saying somebody, I guess, threw a bicycle or something like that at a police officer's horse, and I guess they had to take action. Yeah, right. Did you see all the videos and stuff of the police officer running the horse into that lady? That would be my concern here. Can you imagine if they do that in the future, where they say, oh, we're going to restrict all these quote media drones or whatever, not so much about safety, it's more because I don't want you to see what's going on. That would be my concern personally. Drones or not, if you didn't have regular people with their smartphones recording the situation, you would have never known what the situation was like, correct? And any attempts to actually suppress that, in my opinion, that's not the direction to go. So if you have any companies or organizations actually promoting stuff like that, I would basically wonder, what's your real motivation? And I quickly read this bit of news, which was kind of interesting. It dealt with daylight savings. They always said they would get rid of it, but it never happens. But this one here says the US may make daylight saving time permanent. There's a case for Canada to follow suit. If the US decided to make daylight saving time permanent year-round, there would be pressure for Canada to follow suit. In an interview with the CBC Nova Scotia News at 6 on Thursday, science journalist Jessie Gamble told host Amy Smith she thinks the reason Canada hasn't made the move is because of the US. Everybody's been waiting for somebody else to move on this, but it's a deeply unpopular practice, has been for a long time. Talks of Canada ending the practice permanently comes as the US gets closer to making daylight time permanent. The US Senate passed a bill to make daylight time permanent across the country, but it still needs approval from the House and President Joe Biden. Is this one of those things where even if you know it's, let's just say, I don't know, the right thing to do or it's the wrong thing, you're not gonna do it unless you see other people start doing it? That's kind of bad in my opinion, isn't it? Alright, no flying today, I guess. Some more archive experiments. I was actually wondering if this would work, but I don't know if the drone is actually stable enough, but it's a test anyways. Alright, see you guys later.